everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Now, we have a ton of news to cover today, but first I want to say happy JordanCon. Unfortunately, this year I wasn't able to make it. However, I do plan on attending next year and dragging my wife along with me, so I hope to have just as good a time next year as you all are having this year. And I will admit, I'm a little jealous. I see all the posts on social media, and I've been talking to a few people who are there, and it looks like a really, really good time. So, in this video, we have a ton of news to cover. So there's some stuff that's been reported on by Watt Series, and a lot of it is new. Yeah, I do have some new stuff for you today, too. We're going to talk about some filming locations. We're going to talk about some set pictures that I got, the setup of those filming locations. We're going to talk just a bit about how the Ajas are going to look in the show as well. All of that is new. And all the other stuff we're going to talk about has been reported on by WattSeries.com and some other people as well. So if you don't know who Watt Series are, they are a website that focuses on Wheel of Time news. And if you like reading the news, you want to go over there and take a look at them. A link to their website is down below in the description box. Go ahead and check them out, bookmark their page, and then of course come back here and watch me talk about the news, because we all know I really like to talk. Alright, before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, I usually do 1 to 2 videos per week, and they're all Wheel of Time centric. So I do everything and anything about the Wheel of Time show being produced by Sony and Amazon. So that's set pictures, leaks, photos, rumors, you name it, and occasionally I get a couple of exclusives here and there as well. I'm also going to start covering all of the iWatt and AOL Productions stuff. So that's the movies and any other merchandise or any other projects that they have in the works. If there's any news on that stuff, I'll cover it too, because more Wheel of Time stuff, in my opinion, is good. I love Wheel of Time stuff. All right. All of that being said, spoiler warning. In this video, I'm going to talk about a couple of things in The Great Hunt. So I will do a separate spoiler warning before we start showing the images, and I do talk about them. However, if you haven't read at least up to and including the end of Book 2, that is The Great Hunt in Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, be forewarned, I may spoil some small things for you. However, feel free to watch the rest of the video. I will give you a warning before I talk about that stuff. All right, that being said, let's get on to the video. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is Santa Henry, and I do apologize if I say some of the names and places wrong in this video. I'm probably going to mispronounce things. At this point, if you're a fan of the channel, you know I'm the king of mispronouncing everything. She was rumored to be a director in season 2. Now, there was a lot of circumstantial evidence towards it. However, she's been recently spotted in Prague, and she's posting a lot of stuff from social media in Prague. So it looks like she probably is definitely going to be directing at least an episode or 2 in season 2. And I do want to let you folks know that they are doing it in blocks again, at least so far as I've heard. So maybe she'll be directing 2 episodes for us, which will be really fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. Then we're going to talk about this. This is Claire Perkins. Claire Perkins is playing Karine Nagashi in the television show. Actually, I think I probably mispronounced that, because according to some people at JordanCon, it's pronounced a little bit differently. So let me know in the comments down below if I mispronounced that. I probably did. So Claire put out this post on Instagram. She said, "I love that, thank you." And it was written on this. This is Corey Lanzel's art of her. And if you don't know who Corey is, I've left a link to his stuff down below in the description box as well. He does some really fantastic Wheel of Time art. And she wrote, "I love that, thank you. I actually have a plate like that in the show. I think all you fans out there will really love the superb way the different Aja's costumes have been designed. You're in for a real treat. The whole creative team are mega talented." So that's really cool. However, I think she gave away something there, and I read it a couple of times, and I thought, the different Aja's costumes. So then I reached out to a couple of people who I know that work on the show, and of course, without revealing their identities, they were able to tell me that the plan is for a lot of, maybe not all, but a lot of the different Aja's in the show to have different types of uniforms and different types of hairstyles. That way, you can differentiate from a distance who is green, who is brown, who is white, all the different Aja's. That would be really great for a new viewer, a really easy way of doing it. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I don't like that because they didn't really do that in the books. They didn't have uniforms, didn't have the same hairstyles. Well, no, they did not. However, they did have the shawls, and a lot of them seemed to dress the same. So the whites, a lot of them would wear white dresses. The greens, a lot of them will wear green riding dresses or stripes of green in their outfit to show which Aja they are. It's not really a far reach to think that perhaps they're going a little bit further and making them all dress similar, maybe not as a sort of uniform, but something very close, and making their hairstyles all a little similar as well. That way, a new viewer, someone who hasn't read the series, can differentiate, like, group of women off the distance, say, oh, I know they're greens, even if they can't see all the warders around them and whatnot. Really very cool. And again, I would never have thought to ask that question to the few people I talked to unless I read this. So really very neat. Now we're going to talk about this. JordanCon was this weekend. It's wrapping up over the next day or so. I'm not quite sure when this is going to get posted, so day or two, maybe it's already over, I don't know. But a lot of people had a really good time, and the Wheel of Time official Twitter account also kind of got involved, and they said they hope all the Dragonsborn had a really good time there, and they're sorry to miss it. So we all know there was no real official panels this weekend at JordanCon. However, Rafe did show up and give us a surprise announcement, and we're going to talk about that later on in the video, much later, near the end. But really, really very cool. Even if the show didn't have a presence there, they did talk about it on Twitter, and they did mention JordanCon, which is very neat. Last thing we're going to talk about before we get into those set pictures I promised you folks is this. We all know that they were doing special editions of some of the books coming out this fall. Now, there was a whole lot of speculation that we're getting a Black Friday release or November release for the show, and that was fueled in part by the fact that all of these books were being released in October. And usually when they release a special edition of a book that ties in with a show, like The Witcher did or Game of Thrones or anything like that, it's always usually a few weeks beforehand to kind of build hype, so people buy the books, the show comes out, and you buy more books and whatnot. However, all the dates have been moved, and this comes to us from Narg from the Daily Trolloc. He found this out, and he posted it all over his Instagram, and a few other people also sent it to me. And they've all been moved to September. So you're looking at mid-September for a lot of these book releases, that's kind of surprising. However, if it's mid-September, maybe we'll get a late September, early October release. I would love that. Let's be fair here. The sooner the show comes out, the better. I'm really, really very excited for this thing, and I can't wait to actually view it. All right, so now we're going to get into some set photos, and these set photos, I'm going to kind of speculate what they're for and what they're from. So, spoiler warning, in this section of the video, I'll be talking about certain set photos that I've acquired from Season 2 of Amazon Prime's The Wheel of Time. If you haven't read at least up to and including the end of The Great Hunt, that is the second book of The Wheel of Time, be forewarned, I may talk about some plot points and character arcs in that book and ruin it for you. All right, that being said, let's see those photos. All right, so we're going to talk about this place here. This place is Castrani Fortress, and again, probably pronounced it wrong, and I do apologize completely if I did, but this is a municipality and a village in the South Bohemian region of the Czech Republic. It's a small town, about 700 inhabitants, and this is the fortress there. So, I got an email from Pavel Antos, and thank you very much, Pavel, for this. I really appreciate this, but he had dealings with someone who kind of just wandered on set, which is fantastic. I love this kind of stuff. I love it when someone just wanders onto the Wheel of Time set and can look at a bunch of stuff, and then they contact me. It's really very cool. So this is what was written to me in an email. Hi, the whole area consists of 3 parts, and the most beautiful and best preserved, the lower fortress, is completely inaccessible and behind the walls. They had a lot of cars right in the area of the upper fortress where there was a tour, mainly guards and craftsmen. The scenery in the upper fortress was not visible. It was more about strengthening the trusses, scaffolding around the walls, and the watchtower. The lower fortress is completely inaccessible, and a security guard at the car with the Wheel of Time logo behind the front window. So they were blocking access to the lower fortress. Only in one part behind the upper fortress, from the fishing school or whatever it was, there were several tents, typically nightly decorated. They could be seen behind the walls. I just peeked in there and everyone glared at me. I had no idea what would happen if I even took a picture of them. And then he goes on to apologize about his English. He says he hasn't taken English since high school, and he had to use Google Translate, but Pavel, you speak English better than me. That was fantastic. Now, this was really, really cool, and I got very excited about this, so I did some poking around and asking around about this stuff. And then actually, Narg from the Daily Trolloc reached out to me, and he had acquired a bunch of images of them building the set. Now, I'm going to show you these images, and we're going to talk about them a bit. Fair warning, there is a little bit of a spoiler warning here, because we're going to talk about where I think this fits into Season 2, and I may ruin some character arcs and plot points and whatnot when I do that, but these images are really very cool. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of different images here, and these were in and around the time they were constructing the set for these shoots. So we have this one here. It looks like that's the wall around the outside. We have this one, just a shot of the side of the fortress. This is really, really very neat looking. I think it's really cool. Another shot of the fortress here. Very minimalistic, very stone fortress type stuff. I love it. And then you have this here, the outside walls. And then you get into this. This is where he said they were doing some of the construction. So there was a lot of boards around, scaffolding, different stuff like that. They just started shoring some things up and starting to build the set here and what they're going to use for filming. And they're fixing some stuff up so it looks better on screen. You want it to be old and weathered and cool looking, but you also don't want it to fall on you while you're filming. Really very neat place. Really very neat fortress. and I have some ideas what I think it is. So you're looking at this, all these images here, very militaristic, very Stone Fortish, like I've said. And then you have the email where they said that they've seen a bunch of tents nightly decorated. To me, that means that you look like, say, in A Knight's Tale or any of the other medieval movies you see where you have all the different house sigils and stuff on the outside of the tents. They're doing some kind of big championship tournament or whatnot. That's what I thought of when I read that. And it got me thinking, Knights tents, the only other tents we've seen like that so far in any of the set photos or any of the leaks and stuff are the White Cloaks. Now, it does make a whole lot of sense because the White Cloaks are pretty intrinsic to the second book. You hear about them a lot. They are really kind of very important to the very end of the book, but they just kind of show up there. So even though they're important to the Great Hunt, there's not a whole lot of talk about them, and you don't see a whole lot of point of views from the White Cloaks during the book. There are some, don't get me wrong, but there's not a whole lot there. Now, we know for sure that in the first season, the White Cloaks are there, and we're going to see some of them earlier than we expected because Valda was cast. We know that some of the Council and the Anointed are there, and they don't really show up in the first book other than they talk about them. So I have a sneaky feeling that the White Cloaks are going to become a more important part of the series, a more important part of the show, which makes complete sense. Because in the book series, yes, they were there. They were a scary force. They showed up a lot. They were heavily involved in Perrin's storyline, and as well as a few others. However, they really didn't spend a whole lot of time on them till the later books. Now, if that was to happen, you'd have this giant militaristic force showing up later on that's very important, and there's very little backstory to them. Now, in the book series, they talk about them, the characters talk about them, and there's some stuff written about them, but there's not many point of views. So I think we're going to see more from the White Cloaks earlier. And this would be a perfect spot to show that. I'm not saying it's Amador, because this may not be Amador, but could be one of their forts in the outer outskirts of things and what's going on here. Now, this is the last photo I have here. This is reminiscent of where maybe a general would sit and maybe, deal in maps and strategies and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that Pedro and Niall will be here. However, I really get White Cloak vibes from looking at these pictures, and I really think that, considering what was written to me, they've seen all the tents and stuff like that, like nightly decorated tents, we're probably going to see some White Cloaks in these areas. So let me know in the comments down below what you folks think. These are really very cool pictures. Again, they're kind of preset because they're during the construction, or the very beginning of the construction, but they're really neat to look at, and it's a really good idea to see where they're going to be filming. And let's be honest, I love stuff like this. What do you folks think? Is it going to be the White Cloaks? Will it be something completely different? Will this perhaps be the Shan-Chan? Will it be some other militaristic force, some other fort? What do you think? All right, so we have a couple more things we're going to talk about here, and the first one is this. Rafe Judkins didn't show up at JordanCon, and I mentioned this earlier in the video that the show didn't really have a presence there. However, he did send a video message to one of the panels, and it's kind of neat. So basically, the video message said that he talked about the show a little bit, talked about JordanCon, and then he said that we will definitely be seeing a trailer by the end of the summer. That's the big takeaway from this, that we're going to see a trailer by the end of the summer. Now, there is that San Diego Comic-Con panel on Friday, July 23rd at, I believe, 11 p.m. Pacific. I have no notes in front of me, but I think that's what it is. And I, for one, will be making a video and we'll be live capturing the entire thing and talking about it that night. I think that's the perfect spot for a trailer. However, he did say end of summer, so that does include the summer. I mean, we are within the summer, so it might be at San Diego Comic-Con. But if we don't see it there are a number of other high-profile places they could do that trailer over the course of the summer. So we all know there's about 60-ish days left in the summer, depending on when you watch this video, when it releases. But we're looking at about that many days, and we're going to see a trailer sometime before then, which is super exciting as far as I'm concerned. Then we have this. This is pretty big deal. Geeky Airy over at WatSeries.com commented on this, and I actually had a couple of fans of the channel send me this as well. So Extra Films, the people that do all the extra castings for the show, put out a casting call for 2 different stand-ins. The first one was for male aged 20 to 30 years, slim figure, height 188 to 191 centimeters, blonde hair cut to a hedgehog. Now, if you don't know what a hedgehog is, it's basically a very short, spiky haircut. The second one is for a woman, aged 19 to 30 years, height 172 to 175, blonde hair, starting July 19th. Now, if I do my math right, depending on when you're watching this, I think I'm going to probably release this on the 18th, I hope, but that is soon. Now, these stand-ins are going to run through 2022's first few months of 2022, which is the end of filming for Season 2, which is super exciting. Who do we know that might have blonde hair that's probably going to show up in season 2, both male and female actor and actress. I'm going to say Trakans. Now, I've been hearing through the rumor mill that the Trakans have already been cast. I don't know who they are. Trust me, I'm trying to find out because I am I don't know if you can see this, a big Gowan fan. Yes, that tattoo is real. He is one of my favorite characters, and I really, really am interested to see who they have him play in the show, or if they're going to amalgamate him, or if they're going to do any other changes to the character. And a lot of people really seem to enjoy Elaine and Glad as well. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. They're just not as cool as Gowan. Not even close. I'm going to get some hate in the comments for that. But rumor is that they've been cast. Like I said, I have no real information on it. I'm digging. I'm trying to find out for you folks. But this seems to support that because I can't think of anyone else, a blonde, male, and female, in the second season that should show up that would need a stand-in for the full year. They usually only use stand-ins for a more main or central character. So if you're going to show up for 2 or 3 minutes here and there in an episode, or 2 or 3 minutes in an episode, just one episode, they're not going to use a stand-in for you. They're not going to cast one. They'll use who's ever there to stand there. But if they need a stand-in, it's probably somebody who's going to be on set quite a lot. So I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and say this is probably the Trakans, probably Gowan, probably Elaine, and that's who they're probably looking for these stand-ins for. Again, I'm really very interested in this. I'm going to do my best to find out for you folks. We're going to talk about this. This is an article written by the WhatSeries.com about Jordan Studios. So they basically kind of built this studio from the ground up and built the sets and stuff in the Czech Republic. I'm not going to paraphrase the article word for word. I want you folks to actually go there and read it. So down below in the description box is a link to this article. Go see that. It's really a very neat article. It was a long time in the making from WhatSeries.com. A lot of hard work went into this, and it was really very cool. So go over there and take a look. Last thing we're going to talk about is this scoop on the update of the Wheel of Time budget. Again, from WhatSeries.com, and I've left a link, I've already said this a bunch of times, to their website down below in the description box. But basically, this is an update. They previously reported they think it's about $75 million. However, with the Czech state-funded cinematography rebate that the production was getting, it's probably closer to $90 million. Now, $90 million is just what they've spent in the Czech Republic for season 1. Just the Czech Republic. That does not include exterior shots from outside, anything and everything that they had to purchase outside the country. And we know they did shots in other areas and in other countries for season 1. We know they purchased and did things outside the country, used talent from outside and stuff like that. This is just what they spent in the Czech Republic. So $90 million in the Czech Republic alone in the first season. You're looking at a monstrous budget, an absolute monstrous budget for season 1. So at the very least, you can't say that Amazon is not putting the money behind this show. There's a lot of money there. Amazon is telling you're footing a huge bill for this show. And you can't say anything other than the fact that they're hoping for a good return. So they're going to do everything they can to make sure this show is really good. So that's all the news I got for you for today, folks. I mean, there was a whole lot there. I don't know how long the video is. It's fairly long. I'll know after I finish editing it, but it's at least probably 15 or 20 minutes long, much longer than my normal Wheel of Time news roundups. But there's some new stuff there. There's some old stuff. There's some stuff that maybe some of you haven't seen before, and that's the whole reason I do this. I really do enjoy it. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of things before I go. First thing being, there is an email in the description and the about part of the description of my channel. That is an email that you folks can use if you have any information on the show at all. Let's say you're on set for a day. Let's say you know somebody who's on set for a day. Let's say you know somebody who's seen the screeners. You have pictures. You have anything at all. Anything about the show, drop me a line, send me an email. I really like to hear from you folks anyway. However, I really, really want to hear about the show. So if there's stuff in there I can use in a video, I will, of course, credit you. I will, of course, mention it, just like Pavel today. He sent us all that information about that fortress, which in turn led me to dig a bit and led me to find those pictures from Narg, which ended up in this video, which was really very cool. So there's that. So if you know anything and everything about the show, no matter how small or how inconsequential you think it is, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you folks. Now, the second thing I want to mention is a contest. Now, I'm creeping up there. I hit about 8K subscribers. At 10K, we're going to start a contest. I'll run it for about a month. Now, what will happen is this. If you're a subscriber, if you like my video and you comment on the video, you're entered. That's pretty much it. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. It's the only way to be entered in this contest. And the prizes for this contest are really very, very cool. I'm pretty excited about them. I actually recruited somebody to make a trailer up about these prizes, which, I mean, it's pretty neat. And I'm going to reveal that later on this week, probably. But the prizes themselves are really very cool. I'm super excited about that. I had to partner with a couple of different people for this, and it's going to be very neat. All right. I want to thank you all very much for sticking with me here to the very end, and here's to many more.